SCR, the most popular Roblox transport game out there. With nearly 100 million visits, it has made a name for itself as one of the most fun, realistic and active train games in the world. However, as with all organisations, SCR has made mistakes, and some of them have been much more severe than others. So today, I'll be covering what I believe to be SCR's 5 worst mistakes. Note that stuff like the 1.4 and Metro leaks won't be on this list, as they aren't SCR's mistakes, but instead controversy caused within the SCR community outside of the director's control. Also note that mistakes aren't just not upgrading this station or not adding this. They're genuine errors made by the SCR directors which severely damaged the game's reputation and rating within the community. With that being said, this video is inspired by Sieve Gaming. I'm doing this in no particular order, and let's get into the video. The first mistake is the most recent and relevant of them all. It's the overpriced and extremely controversial Longer Trains Game Pass. Now, the problem isn't the Game Pass necessarily. I think that the features it comes with are very cool additions, and it makes sense why they made it cost Robux, because obviously they don't want everyone going around driving longer trains. That would be unrealistic. But the main problem here is that the thing costs 1,000 Robux. That number has 4 digits. Based on the prices in the SCR point store, we can decipher that 1,000 Robux is equivalent to about 15,000 points, and I just can't see all these trains collectively costing that much. Sure, the 390 maybe would have been about 5,000, but each longer variant of each train can't have been much more than a few hundred each. 1,000 Robux is also worth about $11.80, or about £10, and that's with the holiday sale. According to the Robux shop, normally you need to pay at least £19.99 to get at least 1,000 Robux, and with that money, you could buy 20 months of Potato Light membership, which is over a year and a half. Why are you spending that money on useless SCR trains when you could be paying for perks like exclusive previews of Okay, in all seriousness, you could be donating to charity, or feeding your family some meals, or buying 80 slices of garlic bread. But nope, you chose to buy SCR's stinky Game Pass, which understandably upset a lot of people, as the price, in fairness, was a little excessive. Now, disclaimer, I had no problem with the Game Pass. The monetization I get from you lovely lot watching my videos paid for me to get the Game Pass, but other less fortunate players may have been quite frustrated, sitting, staring mouth-wateringly at that purple unlock with pass button and being overwhelmed with rage upon seeing the 0 Robux in their inventory. Trust me, I would have been annoyed too. No matter how desperately the devs try to justify their decision, I just can't see a world in which this choice benefits the game. So many people quit SCR due to what they believe to be shocking greed and unfairness from the devs, which caused huge riots to break out across the SCR Discord server and other social media platforms, including the actual game chat itself. The biggest problem I have with this is that, unlike other problems, the price of the Game Pass is extremely fragile, in the sense that if they make it lower, or remove it entirely, the people who bought it will be angry and complain that they were scammed, as paying for an already very expensive product only for it to be removed with no refund will rightly cause some outrage. But they also can't make the price higher, because that will upset everyone else who didn't buy the Game Pass but are hoping to, as that will make them believe even more strongly that the devs are greedy and want to steal as much money as possible. It's for this reason that I believe the price will be locked at 1,000 Robux forever and won't be changed, which leaves me with the obvious thought of, maybe they just shouldn't have made the pass cost that much in the first place. I refuse to believe that the devs didn't foresee that this update would cause controversy, and surely at least giving a bit of advance warning that this feature would be a Game Pass must have quelled at least some of the outrage that was going on. Maybe they thought that because it was Christmas, people wouldn't have as much time to complain about it. I hope the SCR devs have learned a very valuable lesson from this mistake. Never underestimate your community's ability to completely thrash the reputation of your game. The fact that SCR has had to explicitly confirm that the upcoming Metro operator won't be a Game Pass honestly says a lot about what they've done to SCR by adding longer trains, and what says even more is that even with this confirmation, people are still making jokes about the Metro Game Pass and New Year New Game Pass. What's also frustrating is that none of the devs or directors seem to be taking responsibility for this pricing, as Games Otto, the operations director, said that it wasn't his decision, and the rest of the devs, such as Let's Gaming Dev, said that they also didn't have the final word on the price, which only leaves one individual, TJH44. Now, as of yet, Toby hasn't actually allowed me to share some of the behind-the-scenes reasons for the absurdly high pricing, and I'll get on to why I don't think the SCR management system is currently fit for purpose in a minute. It looks like the riots have calmed down a bit since December, which is good because I sort of feel bad for the supervisors who, whilst having no involvement with the Game Pass or its pricing, are on the front line of the riots and boycotts in SCR's public text channels and actual game, which I'm not going to get into. But for now, I think I've spent enough time talking about the Game Pass, so let's now talk about something which is mostly in the past. Let's go back in time. It's summer 2022, and for the past few weeks, SCR has been building up to its long-awaited airport update. The update releases, and that's right, this may be a hot take, but I believe that version 1.10 is the second one of SCR's worst mistakes that I will go over today. So, let's do a bit of an update overview. Sneak peeks for the update began on June 12, 2022, and the update released on August 27th, about 2.5 months after that initial sneak peek. The update added 3 new stations, Farley, Rosedale Village and Esterfield, added 8 new routes, added Farley Depot and Esterfield sidings, added the Class 345, added Signal Zone G, and upgraded Airport Parkway, Airport Central, Terminal 1, Terminal 2, Terminal 3, Airport West, James Street, City Hospital, Coxley, and revamped the scenery in the whole airport area. That is a lot of features, and I remember thinking that it was the biggest and most influential update in history at the time. So, what was so wrong with it? Well, the update was very obviously rushed, and not even 2.0 rushed, as in, they hadn't even added everything that was in the sneak peeks. It was so plain that they had a date in mind, and stuck to that date no matter how bad the state of the game that they'd got it to by that point. So, I think 1.10 was a mistake for 2 fairly opposite reasons, which may seem a bit counterintuitive at first, but let me explain. Number 1, the bugs. Look, I understand that you wanted the update to be out before the end of August, I get it, but at least get the update into a bearable state before you release it. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was announced at E3 in 2019 and was pushed back all the way until May 2023, nearly 4 years later. If your update isn't ready in time, don't release it. Wait until it's completely ready. I don't care if your development team becomes more busy as you go to term time. I'd rather wait to play a better game than not have to wait just to play a rushed and broken game. Some of the laughable missing features in 1.10 included the Mesh 360, present in this sneak peek of the new Terminal 2 station, but just missing from the final version, only to be added in the next patch update 1.10.1. The operator and network maps. What? They couldn't even get the network maps ready in time? Surely that's one of the most simple things to add. In fact, surely this should be one of the first things made for an update, as it helps the development team plan the layout of new extensions and reshuffles, especially in 1.10. And the other main one was the spawn bug. Sorry, how did this not come up in testing? No chance they didn't know about this before releasing, once again proving my point about the update being rushed. In fact, 1.10 was so broken, and the bugs took so long to fix, that the next major update couldn't happen for almost another 2 years after this one. Let me put this into perspective. Before 1.10, in August 2022, the last major update before that, 1.9, released in May, 3 months before 1.10. We went from a 3-month gap between updates to a 2-year one. Now, I'm sure it didn't really take them 2 years to fix all the bugs. After all, the next update was 2.0, and we have no idea how far ahead they were planning with their next updates. We know that the next update will contain a new Metro operator, the first operator SCR has gotten in 6 years, so it must have taken a long time to put together. Were they busy planning Metro in the run-up to 2.0? I'd hope not, as, especially an update with this kind of magnitude, they should be working on the update which is coming next. Not soon, next. I trust that the devs are actually working on 2.0 leading up to 2.0. Why would they be working on 2.2? It would make no sense. But anyway, let's move on to the next reason why SCR 1.10 was a mistake. Number 2. The update was too good. Okay, I know that seems weird, but let me explain. 1.10 was incredible, producing some of my favourite stations in SCR, like Terminal 1, James Street, Farley, and Rosedale Village. The problem with this is that 2.0 came next. 2.0 mainly overhauled the driving system and HUD, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to refer to is the stations created in 1.10 versus 2.0. Compare Terminal 3 to Rayleigh Bay, as Lockby to Rosedale Village, or Carnally Bridge to Farleigh. 1.10 stations are objectively better than the newer stations. This worries me. This is the reason I think 1.10 was too good. It set the bar way too high, so people thought it was good at the time, but then people were disappointed with future updates because they weren't better than the previous one. Has SCR reached its peak? I don't know, but with the recent Hempton Park upgrade, I'm confident that SCR can still improve, and hopefully SCR has learnt its lesson from the release of 1.10. Now, let's move on to the next mistake that SCR made. The third mistake is from around the same time period. It's summer 2022, and SCR's managing director, Charlie RBX, has been posting sneak peeks for a certain 1.10 update that we definitely weren't just discussing 20 seconds ago. Then... Okay, before we talk about this, disclaimer! What I'm about to cover is information that not everyone may be comfortable with hearing about, so if you're sensitive to this kind of thing, skip to the timestamp on screen. I'm keeping my mouth shut on any opinions I may have on this situation. All I'm going to show is the facts. This is what happened, that's it. Also, I won't show any images or screenshots relating to the situation. This is a family-friendly channel. With that out of the way, let's discuss what happened. On the 12th of July 2022, a Twitter account called Out of Context Transport Community made a post claiming that former developer of SCR and director of competitor Roblox game Mind the Gap, Ureb, filed a DMCA request against SCR for stolen assets, most likely the next-gen V1 trains, which were confirmed to be directly ripped from Mind the Gap, thanks to this video by the developer who reskinned these trains, MattyX 2013. He claimed that Charlie blackmailed Ureb out of these claims, and this was followed by serious allegations from the same Twitter account that Charlie had, allegedly, been inappropriately messaging a supervisor on Snapchat who was drunk. The supervisor was either 15 or 16 when the messages were allegedly sent, and Charlie was either 23 or 24, which is a substantial age gap. This information is all from unverified sources, by the way, so we don't know the exact ages of the people involved when this happened, or indeed, if it happened at all. OOC Transport kept posting on their Twitter, X, with more and more evidence against Charlie, demanding he step down before a certain time in the day. A few hours later, on July 12, 2022, Charlie RBX, and I'm directly quoting here, stepped away from the community side of SCR. He felt that he was unable to fulfill his duty of safeguarding SCR and its player base, and he commented on the fact that, with comments of this nature being made, it was unfit for him to be at the helm of a game primarily targeted at children and teenagers. A day later, Toby announced that there had been a restructuring of the directorial roles. With this, Charlie's Discord and Roblox accounts, which owned both the Discord server and Roblox game respectively, were both changed to inactive placeholders, both named SCR Team Official, which the directors can apparently access, but won't use. SCR Team Official's Roblox avatar has appeared in various sneak peeks since then, such as this one. This doesn't necessarily mean that Charlie is coming back, but rather, his account is probably just being used for testing. After all, his account needs to be used to update the game, as there can only be one owner of a Roblox game. Charlie's personal Twitter account has also been privated, and a lockdown was imposed in the SCR Discord, which lasted until the 25th of March 2023, a staggering 8 months since it was started. That is by far the longest lockdown we've ever had. Despite SCR losing its founder and leader, it continued going strong, releasing its 1.10 update without issue. Well, actually with many issues as discussed earlier. But I thought it was impressive how Toby and Bantek picked up the game almost single-handedly, which leads me nicely on to the next mistake that SCR made. Number 4. SCR's laughable management of staff and overall handling of issues raised within the supervisor and management team. Now, this is proven by 2 examples, one many years ago and one very ongoing, so information given may be slightly inaccurate. So, let's go back to February 2021. SCR's former operations director, HV, has just stepped down, and with this has come, you guessed it, a restructuring of SCR's managerial roles. One of these is the new head of operations, Island Line, who no one cares about. Sorry Island Line, but the mistakes you made weren't relevant enough for this video, so get out. Anyway, the role of Head of Community Engagement was changed to Engagement Manager, and with this came a round of applications. And then this guy, Brett York, was not pleased with the outcome of these applications. Sam Productions was one of the passers in this round of applications, and Brett York claimed that he used flattery to gain his position. How he knew that, I don't know, because he was a signaller at the time, but what he did know from his time as a lead driver was that communication between the directors and staff team was bad. The directors responsible at the time were Community Director Dooj Woonbas and, you guessed it, Managing Director Charlie RBX. These two responded with some waffle, which I actually read to try and gauge what was going on with this situation. I don't know, I wasn't playing SCR back then. Anyway, what Dooj Woonbas said was basically the most politely worded way of saying, I just took over, it was the Hazard 9's fault, you're all wrong, I'm right, we aren't changing the engagement managers. He also said that Brett York wrote them a beautiful letter, and he said that communication was minimal between the directors, managers and supervisors, and that something needed to be done. But he didn't say how he intended to do that, so basically just all UK Prime Ministers. TLDR, Dooj blamed it on him only just becoming a director. Now, what's Charlie's excuse? Charlie basically blamed it on the community, saying that every time he tries to correct something, the community just challenges it, which I guess is fair, but the responsibility taken by Charlie seemed extremely insincere. I would say Dooj did the better job of defending himself, whereas Charlie just took the opportunity to get heated with the community instead of actually taking responsibility, which led the community to believe that they were both lying, and lockdown ended up being the result. But Brett York was not done. He then came out with 3 demands. Sam Productions be sacked from the EM role, which never ended up happening, a full apology from Charlie, which never really happened, and the lifting of lockdown, which happened after a week. So Brett York didn't exactly achieve what he was hoping for, and especially not because it seems like history is now repeating itself. After a bit of a hiatus, the EM role made its big return in 2024, and the inaugural chosen members were Exatomic, better known as Atom, and Volten, known as Volt. Also, Roasted Fanta later joined the role. Recently, in January of 2025, Atom and Volt have both shared their resignation letters, with Atom having already resigned from the role, so let's take a look at his reasons for resigning. He starts off with the usual, life has gotten more busy over the past few months and years, but then he gets into the good stuff. He goes on to say that the community have been blaming Atom, Volt and Fanta for some problems that go on with the community. Now, let me just preface this by saying that the community director is currently TJH44. However, after Charlie and later Bantek's resignations, SCR has now been reduced to just 2 directors, with the other one, Games Otto, focusing on operations and non-community related topics. That just leaves Toby. When Toby became the community director, development was mainly handled by the managing director and the innovations director, both roles which now no longer exist, meaning that Toby is now responsible for managing much of the development. That means he has less time to focus on the community side of things. Atom goes on to say that although he, Volt and Fanta have put in as much work as they can, SCR has been understaffed for months, with Toby having not hired anyone since February 2023 during the post 1.10 update drought, 2 years ago. Atom says that concerns brought up by the staff team and community are frequently ignored, and complaints regarding communication and transparency are always brought with the same response: a short period of better communication, and then back to the status quo of neglect. Now, Atom says that, contrary to popular belief, Toby isn't all to blame here. And I have to agree. I've had my fair share of conversations with him in the past, and he comes across as a very nice guy. Toby, if you're watching this, hi. I believe that Toby genuinely has good intentions for the game, contrary to popular belief. However, I think that he's focusing too much on development and, as Atom says in his letter, has begun to lose sight of what his role actually is, focusing on making the game better, which is a good thing, but if he really is more of a developmental director, SCR needs to start thinking about shifting Toby's responsibilities a bit, hiring a new community director to actually focus on those kinds of things. This should hopefully increase transparency from the directors team and help out the hard-working managers in the community department, which seems to have been forgotten by the directors, and also speed up development so we can get all the new features sooner. After all, we're all SCR fanboys, am I right? Looking at Volt's letter, he basically says the same thing. SCR is understaffed, Toby has ignored their complaints, it's been a pleasure working here, bye. Also, as of the 20th of January, guard manager Lil Lightning 124 has also stepped down. Now, we don't know if this is due to personal reasons or the same reasons as Atom and Volt, but what we do know is that Loyal Lightning was under the operations department, not the community department. And do you know who's in charge of the operations department? Games Otto, also known as Ben. Lots of people have been rioting in the Discord, calling for Toby to resign, but I believe that there's a different solution. Toby clearly isn't interested in running the community, so let's bring back the role of Innovations Director, or Development Director as it could be known, and let's move Toby to that role. Ben is also very active in SCR's public text channels, whereas Toby is not, so we could shift Ben over to the Community Director. Then, they would have to hire an Operations Director. One candidate for this role is BiomeZ, who's been an Operations Manager, Driver Manager, and Guard Manager for SCR, so he's a very experienced member of the SCR staff. I don't know if SCR will listen to our complaints, but that definitely links into the final mistake that SCR has made. I wasn't sure what else I wanted to include on this list, so I asked you guys on my community post. The results I got were pretty much what I expected, to be honest, but you all did highlight one thing. The community is not listened to at all. Now, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors at SCR, but don't you just get the feeling that however much you beg and plead, SCR just doesn't add the things you want? You don't want to, upgrade Hampton Hargate there, buddy? But Potato, the SCR suggestions page, no. First of all, the suggestions page was inactive for years, yet another one of the empty promises the community director made, until it was finally reintroduced in 2024. For boosters only! Now look, I'm not the one complaining here because I have booster perks, but for those who don't have the money to buy Nitro or a boost, let alone choose to spend it on SCR instead of your own server, that takes some dedication. And so, why can't everyone make suggestions? And look, guess what happened yesterday? The page is now private. We can't even see what is going on with that. Now, it may have something to do with the EM thing I just mentioned, but no warning or anything? Just gone? Come to think of it, they also did this with SCR's public Trello board. Not to mention, the actual suggestion thing itself. Is no one going to talk about how hard it is to get your suggestion approved by the devs? Nowadays, they don't even accept game-related suggestions altogether. Why? Isn't that the whole point of having a suggestions page? Look, I get that you have your own roadmap for SCR, and that's fine, but at least take on board those suggestions instead of just being completely deaf to the feedback of your community. Nearly every suggested feature relating to a station upgrade or new train was rejected, because apparently the devs know better than us.
They want us to upgrade Hampton Hargate. Toby, what do you think?
Make them 7! And thus this abomination of a mini-city in Hemden Park was born. Honestly, don't even ask me what the devs were thinking on this one. Not really much to say on this one. Listen to your community, especially when they actually give you valid constructive feedback. I know much of the criticism over SCR at the moment is in the form of brutal riots and boycotts, but even to the people who ask nicely, SCR just continue to believe that they know better than the community. So we'll just have to wait and see what that gets them in the long run. After all, given my past record, another sneak peek for 2.2 will drop right when I finish editing this video, and I'll have to make another segment. Wouldn't that be fun? With that, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it interesting, you could consider subscribing, liking and sharing this video, as it helps the algorithm to promote this video to more people who might like it. If you want to join these bunch of handsome people on your screen right now, you can click that join button down below and or join my Discord server to get exclusive perks like exclusive previews of videos, videos up to 3 days early, and occasional members only videos. I'll see you next time. Bye!